All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 38.
38.
Woo!
Let's go.
Yeah, we're getting like close to a year. You know what I mean? That's close-ish. Okay, all right. It's not really that close, but it's pretty close.
It's
right?
close.
If you think about it,
52
yeah.
is a year, right?
Right. So we're definitely getting there. We're getting there. I am your host, Blue Squadron, joined as always with J-Kun.
Hello, my name is J-Kun. I'm an Awakening Wisdomane with 763 gear score now, and I do a lot of endgame PvE content such as Olin's, the dungeons. I recently finished a Shoe, so I'm back at Olin's to prepare for my Tependa Bareka earring enhancements. I currently have 96 base earrings and currently gathering more before I tap at the end of the month, so watch out for that. And you can find me over at twitch.tv/JKUNVT, V before the T.
Jay, I'm so proud of you. You've come such a long way with your intros. You
It only took
absolutely
38 weeks.
I was gonna say, you absolutely killed that. I can't even make fun of it this time. And we are joined by Blonde Bear as always. Well, Blonde.
Hello, I'm Blonde Bear. Basically everything Jay Kuhn said, except it's twitch.tv/ and I like the party. I actually recently just covered a lore document given to me by one of the people that writes consensuses of the lore. So if you go to my channel at twitch.tv/blondebear and look at my highlights, I highlighted a section. It's about the new Ulukita region. You can check it out there. It's pretty cool, I think. So
Bro, make it a YouTube video. What are you thinking, bro? That's great.
That's what I was thinking of. Well, the writer, I'm trying to confirm whether or not they want to do their own thing or upload to their own channel. So right now it's just a highlight until I get some confirmation on what they want to do. Because they've written actually a lot of lore segments, and I'd love to cover more, but obviously with their permission and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're still working that out.
Absolutely.
But it's pretty cool.
No, definitely looking
I plan on reading
that.
more and doing more highlights. So you can check that out on my highlights on Twitch for now.
Good. We don't have enough lore content creators, in my opinion, to be honest with you.
True.
Yeah.
True.
All right. So the first schedule on the docket today is the Calpheon Ball. I know we've talked about it in a few other podcasts, but like today we're going to cover a little bit about what the ball is, what players should expect, what we expect, and then like what our favorite things and least favorite things might be with regards to the balls. Because for players that don't know, the ball is kind of like our BlizzCon. It's like when the developers get together and they announce all of the new content that is coming for the year. They tell us what they've been working on, and sometimes they basically tease all the upcoming stuff. Usually it is completely about BDO, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that we might see a teaser for something like Crimson Desert. That being said, most of the time in the past, you see that the Heidel Ball ends up being something like a little bit lesser, right? It's just like a smaller version of the Calpheon Ball. So like they have the Heidel Ball that usually happens somewhere in the middle of the year, usually like June, July, and then you have the Calpheon Ball, which happens in December very religiously every year. Now, the Calpheon Ball used to be a lot different in that like they used to go really hard. If you guys remember, like many years ago, Jay would just get up there and lie to us for 2 hours about what we were going to get in the game. It was great. But like, then they started toning it back because people got really upset because they weren't delivering on promises. So like lately I think they've done a pretty good job about delivering the stuff that they kind of tease at the Calpheon Ball. I'm trying to think of anything that they didn't deliver on from last year, except for centralized servers. There's a couple things like centralized servers they didn't deliver last year, and things like that. And a lot of us were watching live in Los Angeles. I got to meet Jay. I dove past his security staff when they weren't looking, and got his autograph on my shirt. It was sick. He smiled and laughed at me and said I was.
Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I had to wait.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting. He had like a security team, and no one could go talk to him. And I was like low key chilling nonchalantly, pretending not to pay attention. And then his security team faced the other way, and I like dove past them and was like, "Jay, have my children." No, really, sign my shirt. You know what I mean?
You iframed past them? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Easy peasy. You know, just a quickie TP straight past them.
And before
Anywho.
desync, lol.
Yeah. Anywho, now that we understand, a lot of our new listeners understand what the Calpheon Ball is and kind of what why we're so all like hyped up about this. What are your guys' some of your favorite things and like your least favorite things about the balls in the past that we have had? We'll start with Blonde.
So yeah, it's true. Back in the day, I think that the Calpheon and Heidel balls used to be a big hype fest. It felt more like it was like, hey, here's a bunch of potential stuff we might add to the game. Here's a bunch of wacky, crazy stuff, and it might come out, it might not. I don't know. We're just throwing some spaghetti at the wall, see what your guys' reactions are, and we'll go from there. And that's what it felt like, but people thought that like everything they said was going to be a real change. They thought it was like a roadmap. When people obviously realized about the year after that it wasn't like that.
Well,
a lot.
In fairness, it really was a roadmap because they laid it out and said, "Here's the roadmap for like 2019." They would literally lay it out, and then we would get none of the stuff. Server wars, the second Great Ocean expansion, things like this. So like, it wasn't like obviously like the players like got the wrong idea because the developers like teased us with it. Honestly, after a few years we started to realize that the developers were also watching the Calpheon Ball going, wait, we have to work on what? It felt like Jay was literally standing up there like floating ideas into the ether, and that the developers also had to watch just to make sure they knew what to work on coming up soon. You know what I mean?
They'd pay attention to socials and see how many people latched onto certain ideas, and they're like, okay, maybe we'll do that, but we're not gonna do this other crazy stuff. Let's just do the things people were crazy about. Yeah, it really felt like that. It was kind of weird. And then about after the second year, where it was like the fourth, like because they split it. We used to have just a one ball a year, and then they split it into the Calpheon and Heidel, and then we were like, okay, every 6 months we're gonna get a hype fest, and people were really disappointed. I can't remember which one it was, but one of the years they actually posted up, and like we got a majority of the changes, and it was just like everybody was like shell shocked with whiplash. They're just like, wait, what? We actually are getting all this stuff, and then it actually happened. And because I've seen in the past on Reddit and other stuff, people would post, okay, here's the whole list of things they said. What did we get? We got about a third of it. Okay, well that's better than getting none. So let's go from the next year and the next year. I like that it's a hype fest. On one hand, it's cool that they're throwing out a bunch of ideas and all kinds of wacky stuff, and there's all kinds of games and prizes and cool things. It's a whole hype fest. If you look at it from that and expect nothing, it's all just a bunch of fun. On the other hand, if you're a person who cares about the game and wants a lot of good updates, and you're looking for what's the next 6 months going to look like in the game, it kind of sucks because you're getting all these things and you're just like, okay, where is all this stuff? Where's all this content? Or versus like you didn't like any of the things they mentioned, and you're like dooming, like, oh god, they're going to come out with llamas. It's going to be terrible. Why are they paying attention to alpacas and llamas? Like, so I can see it both ways. I personally like just the idea of a hype fest, but I prefer obviously the real updates. Like, I think that what was the one this summer, the Heidel Ball was like it was a ton of just fantastic stuff. Obviously some other things happened over the last 6 months, but I like it.
Like a roadmap, like a real roadmap.
I like the idea of an actual roadmap. But well, that's what this summer I was like, oh, they got all these ideas. There's no way they're gonna pump this out. And then literally in the next few weeks, okay, here's the first part 1 of Ulukita, here's part 2 of Ulukita, here's a bunch of class reworks, here's one of this, that. It's like, okay, hey, you know, I like that. I actually like that. So
okay, I am thinking we did not get War of the Roses. And
well,
we did, and no, not well. They said it was coming.
Some portion of video got War of the Roses, and then they protested it into non-existence.
It has been 12 months, no War of the Roses. Okay, gone, vaporized, didn't happen. Also, centralized servers did not happen. No updates, did not get it. So I'd say we got like 85% of what they talked about at the ball last year. Almost always there's a new class. Like, we're in the same cycle, right? New class, new region. New class, new region. Those are the two big things. But I'm curious what you guys are like most excited about coming into this next ball here. Jay, what are some of your, I forgot to, Jay, what's your favorite, least favorite things about the ball?
Hi.
I apologize. First of all, where is your normal VTube model? Where's the, why are you a floating raccoon?
Okay,
Explain
so the story is I built a brand new computer like 2 weeks ago. And I was asking my chat, hey, is 80 to 90 degrees CPU degrees Celsius high? And they're like, yes, your computer is burning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something about that. And so I was thinking, you know, I mentioned to Blue in DMs in February, I'm planning a VTuber like a 2D VTuber debut, and I imagine it's a 2D model is a lot less CPU intensive than a 3D model, and I wanted to start learning how to use 2D models you know, as you know, I get towards my debut. And so now here I am, I'm learning how to use 2D models, and this model that I'm using is part of the other model. I think I showed you. Like my 2D model is like carrying this guy.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, hey, this is a good opportunity to both learn and also save my computer from burning.
That's good. I mean, have you talked to Invicta?
Mm-hmm. Invicta, I've been I have not. I will look into it. But I have fixed it for the most part. I feel like it's been a lot better. So, but what were we?
Okay, yeah. So what's your favorite? Yeah. I just needed to know why, like, where your VT model went. So your favorite and least favorite thing about previous balls.
Yes. So I think for me, my favorite part is whenever they reveal new regions. I'm pretty basic, so I love the world of Black Desert, and for them to continuously expand the world that I love so much is one of my favorite parts of the balls, right? So that's probably why I'm most excited about the reveal of Land and Morning Light Part 2 when they teased it a couple months ago at G-Star, which is apparently this sort of Korean Asia E3 or something. And also, I mean, you can't forget about the free stuff. I love free stuff. As for what I dislike the most, probably the Q&A sections. It sometimes becomes a little slow and monotonous in those sections. Sometimes there are questions, okay, that are a little like, why was that chosen as a question? You know, like last year there was a question about somebody having a phobia about clowns, and the dev team was like, we're gonna address this. And I'm like, can you address other things, you know? And then there was another question in the past where somebody was talking about, can we breed the alpacas? And I'm like, what? Can you ask a different question? So yeah, some of the Q&A sections are a little. I wish they asked different questions.
The Q&A section. I'm so glad Jay said that, because I forgot. The Q&A section tilts me out of my mind. Absolutely tilts me out of my mind. No, they always lob Jay like the easiest questions in the entire world. Like they legitimately don't. They don't actually ask him anything difficult or that we want to know about. It's always like, hey, the Patrigio clown scares me and my children. Can you change the way that it looks? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think what it is isn't it like a random drawing? Like most of the years, they're like, oh, hey, like submit yourself and your, you know, whatever your concept for your question is not the final question. And then they randomly choose. I think that's like, although I do agree, I wish it were more serious questions about the state of the game and important questions, but it goes to kind of show that they are really listening to kind of anybody in the player base, like not just these hardcore characters or people that are like caring about like important stuff, like just your regular average Joe casual guy who is maybe afraid of clowns or wants to know about Muiquin or something. I kind of like the idea that they're listening to the generic player base, because it's like that's like a grounded level, you know, versus
yes, I could see it that way.
Versus listening to only like only the streamers, only the YouTubers, only people that are competitive in some way, shape, or form. You know, they're listening to the normies. I think that's cool.
Yeah, but like,
but we don't care about that. Obviously, I agree.
But like, I feel like there should be a portion of the Q&A. So the way that the Blizzard likes to do it, since they like to structure their Calpheon Ball a lot like Blizzard does the BlizzCon. Mm-hmm. Is they literally sit up on stage with like the developers, and then there's usually like people interviewing
live
them,
answering,
and there's like live answer stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
They should do something like that. I think that they're afraid.
Put them
I
on
think
the
they're
spot.
genuinely afraid to have like a bro. Imagine me sitting up
the
there.
Red shirt guy,
tell me,
you know?
Jay. Like, why do you tell me, Jay? Why do you feel I'm here for the real issues? Why do you feel that my La Orzeka set's hair has been clipping into the back of my witch's outfit for the last 4 fucking years, and you haven't done anything about it? Please answer that question. Thank you so much. Hairstyle 4. I would actually literally gotta ask the real questions. You know what I mean? I really do think that, like, realistically though, I think that they should have somebody up there that's like interviewing and like answering questions from the audience, or like maybe they have one of the creators on that's like, it doesn't have to be an NA creator obviously, but like that, because that might be a little tough, but one of the KR creators, that can't be that difficult, right? To ask questions and stuff. I think the audience would really enjoy that. But yeah, but yeah, okay, so Jay, what do you think? Yes. Like, what do you think we're gonna get at this? Like, what are you most excited for at this ball here, now that we're like it's a few days away? Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I did mention the new region. I guess the new class is also okay.
New region or new?
Okay, the class.
Pick one.
The new region for sure, because I might not always enjoy the class, right, that they reveal, right? I mean, I only really played Witch for 5 years until they revealed a class that I really like loved aesthetically and playstyle wise, which was Wusa. So that took 5 years, and so I don't know if they can do it again. And maybe in the next 5 years they may reveal another class that I might finally roll from Wusa. We'll see. But definitely the region over the class for sure that I'm most excited about.
Oh, right on. Okay, and Blonde, what's the thing you're most excited about here?
Arguably the same thing. I could go into more detail, but we could talk about that later. I'm looking into more of we have Land of the Morning Light 2, Land of Demons, Ulukita Part 3, and maybe Mountain of Eternal Winter Part 2.
Yeah.
Anything from any of those regions, I'd love to hear.
You guys are so basic. You guys, that was like the most
listen, we're
basic
grinders.
answer.
We're grinders. We're salt of the earth. We just go out there and we just enjoy. We like looking at the mountains.
No.
We like looking at we like doing all the collections of lore and knowledge. Like we're just those guys.
You guys are the reason they don't have to innovate and they can just keep throwing the same shit at us. And
yes, sir.
Like, God damn it.
Unfortunately, we are those guys.
I am excited because that for the first time, they actually in like years, they actually have to present to us in-game progression that isn't just, okay, here come Aitor's shoes. Okay, here come the gloves. Okay, here comes the chest piece. We've got them all. Right? Now, like, we've got the Pen Black Stars, right? We've got all of the Dead God armors. We've got artifact. We've got the in-game artifacts. They need to show us the direction of the game. I'm excited to see what the direction of our in-game content is actually going to flow to, right? They have to tease whether it be the next round of armor that we're going to get, or like how we're going to upgrade our weapons, right? Or like maybe where artifacts are going to go. Maybe we're going to get a second gear wheel. I don't know. Usually these are the balls where we get something crazy. The last time we got something crazy, it was class reworks. Before that, it was Succession, right? These are like the coolest balls for me because like that's why I'm super excited. Maybe I'm on some copium, but usually this is when it happens, when they actually have to innovate and do something new. And it's not just the same. Here's a new class. Here's a new expansion. Here's the next pair of gear or next set of gear, right? Like they just can't do that again. They have to come out with something new.
I think they're just going to do Caphras 2.0.
No, they already said it. They've already said that Caphras were a mistake.
They've also said they never said they'd do a gun class.
Yeah, but like nobody.
Jay is willing to change, Blue.
But the
Jay
difference
is
is
willing
you shut
to
your
change.
mouth. He's not changing anything. He's not changing anything. The difference is everybody was asking for a gun class, or people were asking for a gun class. No one is asking for more Caphras like content. Nobody's getting on. God, I hope I have to go get thousands of more Easter eggs. You know what I mean? They already admitted that Caphras was a mistake. That they are not going to do that again.
I think they found the way to kind of fix it by semi-injecting it into a lot of content. I agree. I mean, I don't think that a Caphras 2.0 system would be good, but I think that's what they're thinking of doing.
I highly doubt that. There's no shot.
I don't know. Like, it's a lot of people already, I feel like, are losing like the incentive to grind. People are hitting like 301, 401, and they're like, nothing's really worth it. I don't really feel that great. I grind all the spots in the game anyways. I think that's kind of the only way to really push players back into like that long-term, I gotta hit 100% progression. I don't think people will really like it, but a lot of people will still do it because they're stuck in the grind.
Yeah, no, I'm. There's no shot that they come up there and they do that. I really want to see like next big thing from them. What do you think this class predictions for this next class? What do you guys think the class is going to be? Because there's like 3 or 4 different options as to what this next class could be. Jay, I'm going to ask you first. Jay, what do you think if you had to call it? What's this class going to be?
If I had to call it, I did watch a couple Chris Pauly videos.
Oh no, that's all.
I knew someone. One of us was
fake news.
One of us was
fake news. Don't
lie to me.
One of us. One of us was going to come in and go, "Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel." You know what I mean? Like it had to be Jay, bro. Had to be Jay.
Welcome back to
It's all fake, bro.
It's all fake. Well, he was
fake
like,
news, bro.
okay, well, let me just tell you what he was
bro.
saying. Okay, Chris Pauly was saying that it's apparently it's another female class because they found like female voice lines and stuff like that.
No, he said male. No, he said male. Yeah, his first video said male. He asked ChatGPT. ChatGPT said male, blade, and like there was one other word
It
that
was ChatGPT.
right.
It was
And
not even
then-
Chris Polly.
Yeah. Then he came out with new sounds for the new class, which
New
again
sounds?
he asked ChatGPT, and it sounds like crazy. It sounds crazy.
I see.
So when the new and then he said it was going to be a dual class, so there were going to be another 2 classes. And he was like, it's going to be like just like it was just going to be Megu and Wusa again, but like, you know what I mean? Like he's literally just shotgunning. Guys, it's going to be male or female. It's going to be blade or have a weapon. It's going to have like you know, yeah, I wasn't wrong. You know what I mean? But anyway, which one do you think we're actually going to get? Like realistically speaking.
Probably another like melee class if I had to guess, because we've been getting a lot of like range and magic classes recently. I don't know exactly what kind of melee class, maybe something more a weapon that we haven't seen yet, maybe like a Warhammer class, etc. So that's what I'm predicting. Something with like a hammer.
You can't say the word hammer and not float it
Hammer?
out like chat is not literally immediately going to go ballistic about hammer. They've had to ban the word hammer from the official Pearl Abyss stream before.
You know what the weapon is going to be? It's a J hammer.
Dude, that would be so cool if it is a door for the hammer and they give him an ability called J Hammer. Yeah, that would be just so cool.
That would be amazing.
Like his 3-minute cooldown is called J Hammer.
And then you can tap your pen black side for free like every 3 minutes.
All right, so hear me out. It's not a necromancer.
No.
It's not a druid. Okay.
Nope.
I think dwarven hammer.
Yep. That's what I said.
Dwarven hammer. And this is an innovative idea that literally hasn't been suggested yet. Dwarven warhammer. For sure. I would play that so hard. Especially if I could have them be bald. It would be sick. But Blonde, what do you think this next class is going to be? I know there's a lot of people think it's going to be a necromancer.
I don't know. I feel like Seknova's technically already the necromancer. She literally has undead guards and literally like a Sindragosa dragon thing that literally has the exact same animation as Sindragosa from World of Warcraft.
You did not know.
She is a necromancer.
No, she is. Put the gun 100%.
Down. She's literally the Lich King. She literally throws up an ice wall. She has undead servant guys that spawn up. She's got the Sindragosa dragon that does the breath. Like she's literally.
She is the dollar store Lich King. Okay,
sure.
Literal dollar store Lich King.
She's the dollar store necromancer. I agree. I 100% agree.
Actual garbage.
Like, we have necromancer at home.
Yeah, we have necromancer at home. We have the Lich King at home.
Some great value necromancer BS right there.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
I don't know. What I think it'll be, I don't like what it actually will be. I don't have an absolute clue. What I'm hoping for, because PA every time they come in the new class, I'm like, what? Like Musa and Megu were like, I don't know. For me, it was like way out of left field. It was like, who was asking for this? I mean, cool, but who wanted basically Witch 2.0 and then a Fire Mage? They basically made 2 mages, like 2 actual mages. For the next class, I think I'd like it. I'd really, really hope and like it to be a dwarf with a hammer. I'm hoping that the Tungrad Ruins Executioner Mob is kind of like a hint towards like they can do short, stocky, big hammer, lightning mode guys, and that's honestly what I'm hoping for. What it's actually going to be, I don't absolutely have a single clue. I think they're going to throw us out of left field again and do some guy who has tiger claws and does tiger abilities or something stupid. I don't know. Dude. Something that we're not even liking. Some claw guy or something. I don't know.
Please put the gun down. Don't. If we get some cat girl shit, I'm blaming you. Do you understand? I mean, I'm gonna buy all of her outfits, but I'm also gonna blame you while I do it because it's your fault that I had to spend the $90 on those loot outfits.
On the tiger girl.
Yeah.
The tiger girl.
They specifically said they don't like the idea of like a druid or like whatever, right? Like they think it would break immersion. We literally have airships going over Velia, but it would break immersion. To have a character transforming, which is very, very strange to consider a gunslinger class, but not consider like a druid like that. That being said, I'm worried that it's not going to be a hammer class only because we have not gotten the new like region that has the dwarves in it yet, right? Like that would be like Southeastern. That would be like Mountain of Eternal Winter 2, which they've teased a couple times. Like those are all the mountains to the southeast of Mountain of Eternal Winter, right? So like
if they did do a dwarf class, it'd be kind of weird because like Orzekia, which is like the lost kingdom of dwarves from many ages ago, it'd have to be like a Mountain of Eternal Winter Part 2, like exiled dwarf that's coming back to reclaim the homeland or something, which we probably won't see that for another year possibly.
Bro,
like it's not likely.
Dude, we want it so bad.
With lore.
Yeah, the worst part is that that they literally said, yes, we're working on non-human classes. Right? Like literally non-human classes. They said that like 2 balls ago. And then every single class so far has been a human female, which I am not going to complain about. But also, I kind of want to complain about it until I look at the outfits. Like they know how to get me. You know what I mean? But like, how do you feel like a brother class release? What if it's like 2 brothers instead of 2 sisters?
2 brothers.
Two.
I don't like the twin class release personally because I feel like it delays the class's full balance and changes and stuff. But I mean, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. I think, regardless.
Oh yeah, no, we have absolutely no say. They don't listen to anything that we say or do over here in North America. If you don't speak English and are a Korean resident, bro, they're just not listening to anything that we say.
They did like a brother-sister dwarf combo, male and female dwarf. Oh, everybody's happy.
That would be juiced. I would be okay with basically all of that. Now, how do you guys feel? I'm going to float this idea out there. Now, on the idea that the Calpheon Ball is basically the Pearl Abyss version of BlizzCon. BlizzCon encompasses the majority of their games, basically all of the Blizzard games and their content and stuff. How do you feel about them introducing things like Crimson Desert, Doke V, and Plan 8 at something like the Calpheon Ball? Would you get offended? Like they're betraying the trust of the Calpheon Ball? Or do you feel like they should have their own like release party thing? I think that in my opinion, I think they should tack it on to the Calpheon Ball. I think it would just add more hype.
I feel like no matter what, every BDO player is going to feel betrayed if they take away time talking about BDO from the Calpheon Ball to other games. I feel like players are always going to feel like that. However, as long as they've always had the same amount of time that they do specifically for the BDO portion and then they do the other portions, I would be game. I want to hear about the other games. Not really Doke V. Crimson Desert's interesting because it's basically BDO 2.0 enhanced single player story mode. And then you also have Plan 8, which is like...
Do not say
squad co-op.
Yes!
Squad co-op.
Yes!
That would be cool. But Plan 8 is basically cyber future mech gun guy BDO. And they're probably going to try and instill the same grinding mechanics, I think, to get players to play it long term.
Yeah, so which one of the 3 are you guys most excited about? Is that we know that they're working on all 3. To be clear, Crimson Desert is an open world RPG. It could be single player, it could be co-op. We're hoping it's co-op because they've said multiple times like one or the other, but like we're not sure where it's at yet. We've seen teaser trailers for Crimson Desert already. We know that it's very well into development now. But basically, was it The Witcher? It's basically The Witcher, but like updated. You know what I mean? The Witcher meets Assassin's Creed, essentially. And then you have Doke V, and that's the shy game mode, right?
The shy.
That's like just the shy
I think it's
freak show, right?
Pokemon. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, it's some shy freak show, guys. Like Pokemon shy freak show. That we're all probably gonna play. I'm not too personally interested in Doke V or Plan 8. That's not really the style and type of game that I personally like. I mean, and so it's probably going to be Crimson Desert since it seems to be, a fantasy game, and that's the genre I prefer. So yeah, Plan 8. What's Plan 8 again? It's like some like
it's a futuristic cyber shooter.
Yeah, it's like a modern future. It's like a cyberpunk,
right? Like mech kind of deals, right?
Sort of. Like you have robot parts and stuff like that. I'm obviously more interested in Crimson Desert because we've seen way more of it. But like I don't know really anything about Plan 8 other than like one of the initial trailers they showed, which was very, very early alpha stuff. So I'd like to see more, but right now obviously it's gonna be Crimson Desert for me.
Okay.
Just because we've seen it,
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's Crimson Desert for me too. I'm in the waiting room for that game. Okay, so what are the suggestions do you think that they could do to improve the Calpheon Ball? What's the biggest thing that you want to see them do to improve the ball? Personally, I think the biggest thing is the Q&A. I think the Q&A is like, bro, they got to pick better questions. Or like, I'm okay with like catering to like the normies for like a little while, but you do have to answer some of the questions from the rest of the player base. And I would like to see them answer, I know this is going to sound crazy, but someone other than a Korean's question. No offense, but like someone from EU, someone from NA, someone from Asia, someone from SA, God forbid, this is going to sound crazy, but someone from console. Anyone. Start answering questions from the rest of your worldwide community during your Q&A. Stop only answering questions from the Korean player base. It makes the rest of us feel like crap. That's my opinion on how to improve it. Jay, how do you feel about it? What's your big thing?
I mean, I would love if future balls had more like community showcases. I think there's just so many talented people in the video community to like when they make like videos, creating art, and it'd be cool to showcase those things at the ball. Possibly maybe even hold sort of, I don't know, like contests to implement whatever they like. Let's say, like, I remember Final Fantasy had this sort of hairstyle contest where, you know, community members would create new hairstyles and it would get implemented into the game. And I feel like, you know, if more community things were implemented into the game, it would connect the community more, connect the game more to the devs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want one of those things to show up at the balls.
Okay, right on. Blonde, what do you think?
Oh, Blonde, you're muted.
You're muted, isn't?
Sorry about that. Do you guys remember that one year where they had the actual in-game thing happening while also going through the ball? I mean, to do the jumping puzzles, like certain people had to apply and were selected, and they did that. I don't know. I personally like that, something to do while you're chilling at the ball. They do like a bunch of competitions. They put all the regions against each other to reach the final thing or whatever, and you got like an extra prize. I like the interactivity.
True.
Obviously, I think we're there to watch, but knowing that we're all there together, kind of doing it all at the same time is kind of a cool feeling. Having a ton of people in that like little arena area, I like that. More stuff similar to that would be really cool, personally. And when they do like the synopsises of like, oh hey, here's like all the regions, information all put together. Here's all this information, like how many treasure pieces were collected, how many of these, like when they do the end of the year recap for our region where they're like, oh hey, here's all the cool stuff that, like, here's all the numbers of everything that's happened. Like, I love that kind of stuff when they like kind of not compare regions but put it all together. Personally, I think that's a nice touch.
Right on. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I like the interaction. Okay, we're gonna look at Jay's second topic here, which is summon pet damage, or just summon pets in general. Summon pets in general. It's no secret that summon pets in BDO have a lot of problems with regards to how their damage affects PvE, their damage in PvP, and their interactability overall. I'm curious, how do you guys feel about summons in the game and like the state of like summons for like Gore for Witch or Healing for Tamer? Even Nova's summons like her pawns and stuff. How do you guys feel like what are the shortcomings? What are they doing right? What are they getting wrong here? Blonde, we just heard from you. So Jay, it's your topic. So I'll let you go first.
So just to speak on summons in general, I've always loved the concept of summoned creatures and mobs. You know, the calling in a friend to help you in battle. You know, it's always been a fun mechanic. Summons were also like really extremely helpful in, you know, turn-based games. Recently, I played a game called Baldur's Gate 3, and just literally having a 1 HP imp, an extra body to just take a hit for you was sometimes the difference between winning or losing a battle. As for BDA though, it does seem like pets and summoned creatures are mostly there to act as a sort of accessory for your attack or ability, if that makes sense. Like for example, for Witch, I keep using Witch as an example because, you know, I play for 5 years.
Absolutely.
But she's always the first person for me to think about. So whenever she casts like Voltaic Pulse, which is this AoE of lightning around her, Tet, who is her lightning summon, essentially casts a similar lightning AoE spell alongside her, like another Voltaic Pulse. And this similarly happens for all of her abilities that involved her summon. I don't mind the way this was implemented for summons in BDO. I've always, loved the idea of summons in, let's say, Diablo 2. The necromancer can summon skeleton warriors and golems, revive monsters that act independently from the caster and attack on their own. And so it'd be interesting if BDO would do something like that, And speaking of necromancer, I know PA said in an interview they were researching on a necromancer type class, but pay attention to the way they worded it. They said necromancer type class, so we might not get the classic summoning mobs, summoning creatures that most people associate the necromancer with.
We're gonna get necromancer at home. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we do, I think they might also need to reconsider how summon damage works going forward if they plan to add more spots that have mechanics involving buffs, because not a lot of people know this, but I just want to briefly explain how summon damage works, and I do have a link. Maybe we'll link it in the in the video or wherever to explain. This was created by some very informed intellectual individuals in the video community, such as Big and Shiny and Felsong, and so. Oh, and just to know, there's a lot of math. So if you're allergic to math like me, stay away from the advanced section. It is like a 100-page document, so I will try my best to briefly explain it in layman's terms. Anything that is summoned, pet-wise or object-wise, essentially has its own stats, and that may or may not be affected by your buffs. But rule of thumb, though, most self-applied buffs usually work out, and keyword is usually. And apparently to the document, crit rate does apply to summons, but not like special attack multipliers like back and down attack. But if a spot involves a buff that you receive, your pet or summoned object will not get affected by it. So an example would be the lower Gyphon mechanic. You know how like the purple, blue, and red color buffs and the butcher buff, the yellow buff, those do not affect your summon damage. Another one is the Ulukita buff. Another one is the Serendia Elvia buffs, the Calpheon Elvia buffs. All of that don't get applied. So and to give it an example of what are considered summons, like pretty much all of Witch and Wizard's pet flows, all of Nova's pawns, all of Corsair's auto attacks, all of Tamer's in skills that involve Heilang, Hashishin's tornadoes, Awakening Wusa's flower bombs, and some things that you might not even consider summon damage are summon damage, such as Musa's blade projectiles. Like another good rule of thumb is that if you can start an animation and you move out of the way or like cancel out of it and the animation continues, it's probably summon damage. So this is just a few ones that I mentioned. There's more in the linked document, and these buffs are also considered to be multipliers too, like straight up multipliers. Like the Gyphon color buff is a ×2 damage multiplier. The butcher buff is a ×10 multiplier, apparently, according to the document. So if you're a class that heavily relies on these summon and pet damage mechanics, right, it's a pretty big loss in clear speed. I don't know how they can possibly fix it, but again, going forward, if they're gonna plan to add more spots like this, and they did, right? Ulukita is one of those spots that has a spot mechanic buff. I feel like they need to address and essentially fix the damage that we're not getting from the mechanics. So
I would generally agree. Honestly, all of the damage, technicality, and percentages and all that stuff set aside, all that boring mumbo jumbo stuff. Yeah, we know that pet damage isn't working correctly. They've buffed pet damage for years, and they'd be like, which PvE pet damage is getting an 80% buff? And everyone's like, oh my god, Blue, are you excited? I'm like, no, it's going to do the same damage it did before. Are you kidding me? Like, it was literally every patch is exactly the same damage as it was the patch before, no matter how many times they buffed it. It just wasn't working properly. And that's just the way that it went. I honestly have just been super underwhelmed with how they approach pets in the game. They call them pets, they call them summons. They just feel like added damage. You don't feel like you're playing alongside your pet, or that you have a meaningful control, or like it feels like a team effort in any way. It just feels like they're kind of just there and they're just adding damage to your character, which I think is just a lackluster design. I think it's shitty. Like, I've always thought that that's crappy. I like Gore, but like all Gore does is he pounds the ground, he rolls when I tell him to, and that's about it, bro. He doesn't really do anything else. I can't really get him to do anything else either. The only class in the game that has more advanced pet techniques, which are also still primitive and garbage in my opinion, is Tamer. Like, Tamer can ride her pet. you know, she can summon attack and like do different things like defend and stuff. That's at least something, right? She can at least interact with it in some way. But like, oh, there's no real way to interact with Gore other than to tell them, go hit that thing. You know what I mean? That's it. So I wish they would just remodel the way that they even look at pets. Yeah, fixing the pet damage might be difficult on their end. It's fixable. I'm sure it's fixable. Even if you have to rip it out from the ground up, it's definitely something that would be fixable. But like, they need to just reimagine how they look at pets. I don't know. Blonde, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like on concept they were like, oh hey, like pet class. Every game has one of these pet classes. That'd be really cool. But it didn't really pan out with their engine, the way the game works. I don't think they really sort of realized the load problems I guess we'd have with certain pets, and so they are quote unquote doing the best they can, I think, with like what they've got. Obviously it would be much cooler if we had like a way better pet system similar to like hailing. I feel like is the most quote unquote like realistic pet that we have. But yeah, every other pet feels like, okay, you summoned Gore and he does the ability because it's part of your animation for your ability, and that's about as far as it goes. I think that all it does is create more problems, especially like, you know, like that list you've got there where it's just like, hey, here's all this stuff affected, and they set flat sets of stats and nothing really scales. Didn't we have for a hot minute where like if you had monster damage reduction, your summons would be affected by someone else's monster damage reduction? Yeah, I feel like there's so many sort of testing problems that like we've kind of figured out and they haven't really figured out, and it just makes it really awkward. Yeah.
There's always going to be things where like you release something and you're never going to be able to predict everything. But there's some pretty basic stuff that I feel like they should have considered.
Yeah.
For something. So if they do release a necromancer class, what direction do you think they should kind of take with that? How should they do it differently? Right.
I think they should stop doing pet classes. They obviously don't know how to, until they fix all other pet classes and stuff. They really shouldn't touch or any summonables. Like even like the striker doesn't have a pet. It's literally just a guy that summons. To me, I see that as part of the animation when he presses Shift Q or whatever. I don't know his abilities. When you press the button, all the dudes pop up, but that's just part of your animation that does damage. But no, it spawns an entity that then deals damage based on the stats they set. Why? Why is it not just a flashy animation and then it just boom, 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 boom does the damage? They need to just not do any pet related stuff. They need to maybe look like his abilities, like if they did a necromancer, for example, like you said, if like he has an ability where he like throws a ghoul at you, it's just the animation, it's not the actual, it's not summoning something and it's a separate entity that hits him. It's the ability that does the thing, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like that should be the tie-in and it shouldn't go any further. Although I know a lot of people would love like 5 million necro minions or whatever, but until they fix it, there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Jay, how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree with Blonde Bear. They should just, again, right, as I mentioned before, it kind of acts like an accessory. So if it's gonna act like an accessory, just make it an accessory. Just make it just the animation. Like if you're gonna do Gore Roll, just make Gore Roll its entire anime. Like just shove everything into one. Because you know how like Yoke of Ordeal and Gore Roll are two separate abilities. Just shove them into one ability so that it gets affected by all the multipliers or like complicated stuff that they're adding in the future. You know, and do that for like all the things if they're not gonna fix pet damage. Just like this is another way to go about it. You know, I think that the reason that they do it this way and the reason they don't change it is because this is their like budget way of including pets in the game.
Yeah,
like I really do. I think that this is their budget way of including pets in the game because they feel like they need that for a fantasy setting like this, and like this is how they kind of chose to do it. And if they do roll it all into one. Yeah, that's a great idea, Jay. You're absolutely right. But then why is Gore even here?
Right.
Like, why is it? Well, because like we said, Gore is basically just, or Tet are just, they're just damage buffs. Right?
Yep.
There's nothing really added to them. So, like, what do you guys want to see? Like, so, okay. So, no pet damage or no pet classes. Okay. Well, let's assume that they fix everything very magically with pets. Like I said, what do you want to see with a pet? Would you like, what kind of interactability would you like to be able to see with a pet?
Just more like as you said before, like we can't really control them very well. Maybe a little bit more control. Like, would it be a crazy idea to ask Gore to have a grab your opponent and bring them to you or something like that? Something
Well,
that makes me feel like
that'd be sick.
Every time, every kind of
like
little
my
thing,
pet
I'm
is actually
thinking,
helping me.
how could
you
some
know?
player manipulate this and break it?
Okay.
I feel like that's always going to be the case when it comes to stuff like that.
I got
Like,
an idea.
oh, my pet can aggro even more
monsters.
monsters. Like, oh, now I can just clear twice as fast because I'm
Well,
able
I've
to
got an
aggro
idea.
twice as much.
So remember when I mentioned before how pets and in like turn-based games are really helpful? They essentially like they take a hit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the pets act like some sort of like bodyguard for you? They could possibly take a hit for you.
No,
They
I got
could.
it. I've got it.
Go on.
I've got it. What if they combined Blue Orb with with Gore, put Red Orb on the pet. Okay, so the pet aggroes the mobs instead of just remove Red Orb. Yeah, remove Red Orb, and pet functions the exact same way Red Orb does. So now the pet is tanking damage for you instead.
Yeah, I just feel like that's gonna make some of their designs for spots just so broken. Like certain classes will be able to do spots way better because they'll never take damage.
Well, no, you can make it only last for like a certain. You can like an active ability that you activated for Gore, and he just like pulses energy, and then it aggroes everything. Right, and it's only up every 10 seconds, but it lasts for like 5 seconds. Right?
Yeah, they could make Gore and Tet like a cooldown. Like, let's say there are 3-minute cooldown, right? Tet, you invoke Tet every 3 minutes, like as an E buff or whatever, and he's out there doing he's like being an independent actual summoned mob, like I don't know, copying, like casting Voltaic Pulse, casting Thunderstorm, casting Lightning Barrage on their own, doing the same damage you do. Every 3 minutes, last 30 seconds, something like that. And Gore could be like a defensive portion, Gore, every 3 minutes, you can ask him to taunt the mobs around him. You can ask him to give you a shield or something like that. Something that, that really feels like you summoned some sort of really powerful creature to help you out in the call of battle,
Or, and this is going to sound crazy, you can tell Gore to go to an ally, and it drops a heal. It like he jumps over to them and he drops a heal for you, so you don't have to dive in like a primate and try to drop a heal for everyone. You can send the pet in to do that for you, and your heal goes on cooldown. Done. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they could try to do with a summon class, and this is just with Gore. Like I'm just spitballing because again, Witch has been my class for a really long time, but like
same.
There's a lot of different things that they could do. And that would kind of help offset Awakening, which is like lack of mobility in general. You know what I mean? Which is nice. So like, I don't know. It's just kind of my thoughts on where pets are kind of at this stage. What do you guys think is like the biggest? All right, so there's a lot of problems with pets. Do you think the biggest problem is in PvE, or obviously you guys are gonna say PvE, right?
Yeah, I mean,
do you feel like there's like some egregious problems in PvP that need addressing?
For pets, maybe I just haven't done as much PvP to really know if there's an issue with pets in PvP. I do remember pets because they are, individual. Like let's say you start Voltaic, and then somebody grabs you. Technically, Tet keeps going and damages that person, but it's not even that much, So that's the only thing I could think of as like an advantage. I don't know if that was like I don't know if it's an issue or anything, but I could see them like maybe improving that. Maybe if you do get grabbed, Gore could probably save you from the grab or something like that. Your pets are helping you out essentially.
People are saying Gore
they could do.
People are saying Gore could throw you. Bro, that would be sick. You have to toss me. I can't make the jump. Don't tell the elf. You know what I mean? That's the situation. Blonde, any final thoughts on the pet damage?
I mean, we kind of covered like basically everything that's wrong with them. It'd be nice if they fixed. So as the pets currently are, it'd be nice if they fixed them. If they could then fix every issue we have where it's like related to PvP damage, it's weird. Related to PvE damage and certain things, it's weird. It not being based off our stats means we can't balance like certain things around it. So like, what's the game gonna look like in 2 or 3 years? Do they just have to like catch the pet's gear score up? Like, if they could fix all these issues and then we can go from there, I think that'd be cool. And then maybe I could talk about what we could do with pets, because right now, as they're currently absolutely busted in so many forms, talking about any changes would just be crazy. On top of that, I feel.
Actually, someone mentioned in my chat that the special attacks don't get affected by pets, so they can't do back attacks, or they can't do like down attacks or whatever. I think maybe. No, they can. They should be able to, because I see it in the thumbnail. Is
I don't know.
PvP?
I have no idea. I'll be honest.
I think it might be the special attack damage.
I have no idea how the damage on my pet functions. I just know there's no shot that it's working correctly. There's no way.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question about the current patch that we are on. I know it's a bit of a pivot, but you guys were the ones spouting last week about how you were so excited about the Old Moon Grand Prix.
Yes.
So what is going on with the Old Moon? Because I have not heard anyone doing this.
It's freaking awesome. You want to do some?
There's no shot, bro. I heard somebody queued up the other day for like 2 hours and found no one.
You could stack up the coins, so you could do like Sunday, you just do nonstop Grand Prix for like 5 hours straight. You could stack up enough coins to probably not do the weekly, not have to do the race again for like 6 months. I think that's the only thing missing from the system. Like they've got some things where you could just do it all day and you could level up your horse training and you could do this and that, but there's not like an infinite turn-inable reward. I think that's the only thing missing, because like you get some feathers, which is awesome, mythical feathers, you get some fern roots, you get the trophies which turn in for like certain things, and there's like 20 some odd titles for Grand Prix racing, but there's another thing. I feel like there's got to be something else that like people that want to do this all day can like turn it into something, I feel. But it's super fun. I really like it. All the tracks are really cool. If you do the Calpheon track, the trolls throw boulders so it knocks you off their horse. There's a clip on Reddit where I can't remember his name. He's a life skiller. He basically it's Jordan. It was Jordan. He's like, oh, I hope that guy falls out, gets knocked by the trolls, and then immediately he gets knocked off. Like there's all kinds of really cool stuff, and it's like its own unique system.
Have you guys ever played Mario Kart?
Oh my god,
yeah, that's what they should add.
The Mario Kart,
that's what they should, like shells and items. Yeah, like shells. That would be so fun.
Give me a break. You know what this game mode needs? RNG. There's not enough RNG in this game mode, Jay says. He says, give it to me.
They could make two-seater like another feature. Like, let's say someone's driving, someone's on the back, just like throwing something to slow down the other guys.
It's literally so Mario Kart at home. Like,
Mario
no shit.
Kart, like, Mario Kart at home. I love Mario Kart at home.
Oh, I had another question on what are your? I guess we kind of covered it, but not really. Like, throughout all of the ball that's coming up, what do you guys have any predictions of like everything you think they'll cover?
Yeah, because
I'm curious what you guys think they're gonna cover, because I have some ideas, but
like
I'm hoping they make a bingo card. I'm hoping they make a bingo card.
yeah, I mean, sort of like a bingo card, because like my pretty much what I'm thinking is it's gonna be Land of the Morning Light Part 2. They're gonna mention Land of Demons. They're gonna mention Ulukita Part 2 or 3 or whatever. They may, this is like a 1% chance, may say something about Mountain of Eternal Winter. Fourth dungeon, and then everything else I think is going to be specifically PvP related. That's another thing. I don't know if they're going to specifically only have the J-Talks be about Korea's PvP issue with their guilds and player-based stuff, or if they're going to tie that into Calpheon Ball and doomer all of us into the changes.
I mean, we know that the free space this year for the bingo card is Jay apologizing to the player base. For sure.
Yeah.
100%. That's true. The free space. But like, I think we're gonna get all this stuff. I think it's the dungeon class expansion, but they have to release somewhere. They have to tell us about the next progression stuff. Right?
Do you think so?
Yeah, dude. Like, otherwise players will quit the game because they're like, well, I got the shoes, I'm done. Right? Like, it's like, no, they need to be looking forward to the next thing. I
feel like video's been that way for a long time, though. A lot of people are like, oh, like, I mean, it's not a seasonal MMO, but people treat it like a seasonal MMO, where it's like, oh, new thing came out. Okay, I'm coming, I'm playing, I got the new thing, and then I log off. Like, that I feel like that's how, unfortunately, a lot of MMOs work these days. But I feel like some people play it like that. There's a lot of people that also, I mean, just like kind of log in for an hour or two each day and do some random stuff.
That's, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard. Honestly, I think most BDO players only play for an hour or two a day. But, like, even still, like, the really end game players like J-Kun. Jay, wouldn't you be also awful disappointed if they did not talk about the next set of progression for your huge Epeen 760 gear score gear wheel?
I do like gear. I do like gear. So I actually would be disappointed if they didn't announce like more stuff for me to do.
There it is. They have to.
You know, one thing I haven't seen in a while is when they announce statistics about the game. And what I mean by that, in the previous balls, sometimes they showcase like how many people created a treasure, which guild won the most node wars, you know, how many, I don't know, 10 black stars were created, how many rich merchants rings were created, at least one of us on the podcast, you know. And I've always loved seeing those numbers, and I hope
oh my god. Bro, the shots were fired so hard. I took like a grazing on the shoulder, but it like went through my shoulder and it tagged Blonde like right in the forehead. Blonde's just catching strays, bro.
I'm just a raccoon. I'm just it's my form of trash talking. You get it? Because I'm American.
Oh my god. Put the gun down, Jake. Get out.
Put the gun.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
I was actually curious what you guys thought the next big, because they always have quality of life changes. And you know they're gonna announce some quality of life changes. Last time we got the Magnus, like it was literally like two times ago, was it? Or 2 balls ago, was it? That we got the Magnus, and that was like the center of the ball. What do you think that they're gonna introduce as like the next big quality of life change? I think it's gonna be crystals. I think they're gonna introduce a way to.
I think presets, like full presets.
Well, correction. If I had to call it, it's a way to condense everything that you have to do for grinding and like PvP into like way less steps. They need to take all these, they're like 50 steps that you have to do to get ready for even just 1 hour of grinding. I know. All of this needs to be condensed into like 3 steps. Like it should not be this hard to go out and grind, especially for like the new players. Like, bro, I can't tell me how many times you start grinding and you're like, I forgot my tent buff. Or you remember your tab, I forgot my loot scroll. Or I forgot to feed my pets. I forgot to get my house buff. I forgot to get my church buff. My pets, my cron meal's not running. I don't have my elixirs. I don't have my droughts. Like, it's miserable, bro. Absolutely miserable. But like, I'm curious, Jay, what do you think we're gonna get quality of life wise?
I mean, it would be nice to have family-wide life skills. That would be pretty big quality of life.
God, that would be nice.
I'd be bricked up for that, bro.
That would be so cool.
I'd be all up in that, bro.
It sucks to like have done a lot of like a specific life skill and then tagging comes out and you're like, okay, well, I can't do these anymore. Like there's like I'd like to do everything on a bunch of different characters, but now it's like you look at my account, it's like, okay, I got 1 fisher, 2 traders, 2 trainers, 2 of this, 1 farmer, 1 of that. It's like, bro, it'd be so cool because it's all family related if it was all a family list of stats. Now I understand there's some people that have like characters that they leveled independently, but just push all that EXP into the same bar. I don't know. Yeah, like they've done the combinations before. When you do the coupons or whatever, they just take the numbers and add it all together. I think that'd be so cool because then I'm not de-incentivized by having 5 different professional or artisan alchemists, and I don't know which one to alchemize on today because if I do it on this character, it'll be a blue proc, but if I do it on my stupid wizard sitting in town, it's gonna be a beginner, and I can't do it. It's like, oh frick.
There is an element to that where it's like the players went through the side progression and the suffering of trying to gather from beginner 1, right? Or of trying to like do things from beginner 1, right? And just adding them together, I don't think helps their suffering. However, get over it. I really do think that like that would be such a big change for the game, and they've done crazier things. We thought that we would never get global storage.
True.
Here we are, right? Like that concept was out there. There was no shot that we were gonna get that, right? And then we got it. So like, it is possible that we get something crazy big like that. Jay, what was your big thing?
Me?
Yeah, what did you say?
It was the family-wide life skills.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
But
was,
what was Blonde's then? Wait.
I said full presets, like for like everything, like either that or I don't know, some way to like, I don't know, if a player PvPs with you or interacts with you, it activates the PvP set. I don't know. One of the most frustrating things I hear from not just my PvEers, but even PvPers is like, oh, someone flags on me. Well, now I've got to go to BA, swap my add-ons. Okay, I got to put this piece of gear on. Okay, I got to swap this artifact out. Okay, I got to,
it's really bad.
Well, I got to go to Awakening.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So like, what about like a second gear set? Like literally like a second equipment, and then you can
similar to AOS, right? Like when you queue in, you have a whole preset. That would
so
be
when you
cool.
start PvP, you use those PvP stats. When you PvE, you use the PvE stats.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
I'm just gonna go full DP set. So if someone flags on me, I'll just never die to mobs again.
Well, that's me. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, bet. Like, I just go straight to a full DP set and just say you're embarrassing yourself
and just walk away.
Yeah. Out of here,
like when you turn on flag, you immediately switch. Like when you flag up, you switch to PvP set. Mm-hmm.
Another system, I don't know if we talked about this or I talked about with other friends about like I know I think we talked about this on the last podcast, like the flagging up system, like flagging up in town to then go out and get a buff and then you can kill people or whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. That system's
open world PvP change.
Contentious.
That's not quality of life. That's like game changing.
I mean, isn't it? Isn't it kind of quality of life? We revived the world scene of PvP because now, a ton of people are just gonna walk around in PvP mode. Like, who wouldn't do that? I mean, I would do that, and I don't care about PvP, but I ain't gonna complain.
Yeah, because you have a drop rate buff and your gear score is bigger than everyone else's.
Yes, sir. Well, and I still die in one shot, so I mean that doesn't change nothing.
That's fair. That is true. Sadly, it does look like we are out of time for this podcast here, so let's go ahead and do outro and closing thoughts, starting with Jay.
Hi, closing thoughts. I'm excited for the Calpheon Ball, and we're probably gonna have a ton of things to talk about next week. We'll see what they have in store for us. But hi, my name is Jacob. I'm an Awakening Wusame, and I do a lot of endgame PvE content, such as Elden's Dungeons. I'm happy to answer any questions from newer and older players. You can find me over at twitch.tv/JacobVT before the T.
He nailed it. Now, when is the Calpheon Ball? To be clear, Calpheon Ball's the night of the 15th, morning of the 16th for us, right?
Right.
Yes. So Friday, 10 p.m. PST, if I'm not mistaken.
So like Saturday at 1 a.m.
Or if you're in Europe, 7 a.m. in Europe.
It's like midnight for me. Oh my god. Wait, is that going to conflict with Siege? It starts right at the end of Siege, potentially.
No, it's 1 a.m. EST. It'll be like an hour or two. No, it's the day before. It's the morning before Siege.
Oh, it is the morning before Siege. Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Blonde, outro closing thoughts?
Hi, I am Blonde Bear. I like to grind and party, and you can catch some lore videos on my Twitch channel under my highlights. Probably going to be going over a lot more lore soon. The new Ulukita Prix lore for the main sword quest is there. It's pretty cool. It kind of explains where we are and what we're catching up to with the current expansion, and then I'm gonna probably retroactively go back through all the other lore documents and go through a lot of other lore. I think the next thing I'm reading is about Caphras the Immortal Alchemist, so you can catch that at twitch.tv/blondebear.
Right on. And I am Blue Squadron. There's always something going on this channel. Right after this, we're gonna run our weekly dungeon run with Jay and Blonde right above us here. I think Brobear as well. But we'll do our weekly dungeon run, then we're going to have the patch note rundown as well, so we are obviously not done today. You can always find the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, my YouTube channel after the podcast airs is a super great place to find the podcast and the patch note rundown. I have YouTube videos that come out every day. I stream close to every day. My Discord is crazy active, so you guys should check that out. I'm always running events, so make sure you guys tune in for those. From all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, have a great rest of your week, guys.